Hello there and welcome once again to Red Gaming Tech for your daily dose of the latest gaming news. Today is the 19th of July and I have some news for you today concerning Ryse, as Microsoft and Crytek have released some new information about the game's story and characters. And this was during a panel at Comic-Con San Diego. And they also announced a new digital graphic novel called Ryse, Sword of Damocles, and I'm sure I've just horribly butchered that pronunciation, but still. And they've quite a bit of information about the story and characters in general, and I'm just going to directly read out what they've said and then give some thoughts and opinions. Ryse, son of Rome, follows Marius Titus, a young Roman soldier who must avenge the murder of his family at the hands of barbarian bandits. As he rises through the ranks of the Roman army, Marius's quest for vengeance will take him to the barbarian-infested shores of Britannia, and eventually straight into the heart of Rome. And Marius, the hero of Ryse, is a young soldier with a strong sense of duty who is completely dedicated to Rome and her ideals. Initially eager to fight against Rome's enemies and expand the empire, he soon realises that Rome is vulnerable to an even more insidious threat than barbarians he faces in the battlefield. Ever loyal to Rome, he resolves to rid the empire of her true enemies. Next up is Vitalian, a wise and charismatic general who has served Rome for decades. Vitalian has fought in many campaigns and serves as a mentor to Marius. As events transpire, he begins to wonder if duty has its limits and whether self-restraint is always the correct course of action. And of course we have Nero, Emperor of Rome, and who struggles to maintain his grip on power. He promotes his two sons, Commodus and Basilius, to powerful positions, letting them take control of the rebellious province of Britannia. Nero feels threatened by all potential rivals and exacts ruthless retribution against anyone who crosses him. And the two sons, Commodus and Basilius, as governor of Britannia, Nero's eldest son, Commodus, sees himself as a god and the people of Britannia as his subjects. His reign is characterized by brutal repression. As for the youngest son, Basilius, he enjoys anything carnal or cruel. At the Colosseum, he delights in watching gladiators kill each other and lords over the terrified slaves he keeps in his harem in the bowels of the structure. And we have Boudica, the daughter of King Oswald, the ruler of the Britons. Strong and resilient, Boudica hates Rome, and with good reason. Under Roman rule, her people were made to suffer horribly. When her father faces horrific retribution from perceived insult, it galvanizes her, and she rallies her people to rise against their oppressors. Boudica is a principled woman and has the will to go to the ends of the world to save her people. And we have Oswald, a benevolent king of the Britons. He leads a rebellion against the tyrannical rule of Rome, but when the Romans brutally repress the rebels, Oswald submits to Roman dominance, as in hopes this will spare his people. His naivety leaves them vulnerable to the Romans. And then there's Glot, enigmatic leader of the northern barbarians, rumoured to be more beast than man. Very little is known about him except that he is fiercely independent and will make war on both the Romans and Oswald's tribe. And finally, the spirit gods. Immortal spirit, one who watches over humanity, guides Marius. She appears in mortal form, but radiates an otherworldly aura. Other known in mortal form as Aquilo seeks the destruction of Rome and allies himself with her enemies. So pretty interesting characters to say the least. Of course we've got some there from actual history, which is always nice, always good to see when you've got a game such as this that's involved in history in some way, say like with the Vikings TV show or this game or any other TV shows or games that have been set in sort of period times and all that. Roman times is not really a period of history that we've had many games set in, which is a bit of a shame. Of course we've had God of War, which is kind of the Greek one, and we've had quite a few set in other periods of time. We've even got The Order 1886, which is going to be set in Victorian England, which I'm definitely looking forward to, by the way. But I think this is one of the few Roman games. Of course we had Rome Total War, to say the least, but I can't think of many others offhand. If you know of any others that are set in this period of time, that would be great. So it's a really interesting period of history. So it'd be curious to see what Ryse is like, at least just to see what it's like to play a game set in that period of time. There has been some concerns about the gameplay style of Ryse, Son of Rome, and I'm kind of concerned as well, as it looks like it's very QTE heavy, which is not something that I'm a fan of. I would hope that it'd be kind of God of War hack and slash style gameplay, you know, maybe not God of War-esque, but you know what I mean, hack and slash style gameplay, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, that sort of thing. That would go really well with a game like this, but if it's very QTE heavy, then it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to keep my eyes out for any proper gameplay trailers. Of course, there has been quite a few screenshots released, and some little snippets of gameplay, but I just want to see some unedited gameplay gameplay, basically, before I make up my mind on whether or not I'll be checking this title out. It sounds interesting at least, but whether or not they managed to pull off this piece of Roman history, well, I don't know. Of course, this is a fictional piece, but it does have some people who actually lived, and of course setting a very interesting period of time, excuse me. So I'd hope that they're going to pull it off because, well, I want a good Roman game, basically, but we'll have to see. Anyway, that's me done for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.